Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It's a pleasure to host you with at this AMA brought to you by Tyke and Asia Tech Journal. I have two amazing founders, right, who are doing, who are challenging the novel, right? And while I'm excited about this conversation, I'm also motivated, right? I think this is something which has been an absolutely unexplored territory. Possibly this little communication which has happened, right, as far as it comes to male hygiene, right? And while of course this is just so much more important, there is a certain there has been little work that has happened at a cultural level either, right? There are certain things that are assumed in many ways, right? I think as we grow, as we become an independent nation, I think as we become more and more educated, right? I think it just becomes so much more important that these are things that I talked about. Hygiene is something which is pursued just so much more seriously, right? And I think that's essentially what we're going to be discussing through the course of the day, right? So I think guys, it's great to have you with us. Like I said, right, what I particularly like is that you're changing the direction of how things have been, right? Careless, callous, not so serious, right? To being a slightly more serious ecosystem, right? Because there are health concerns. And I think in general, hygiene is something which is very, very important. And we've seen, last 2 years have taught us one thing for sure, that hygiene is just so much more important in many ways, right? So welcome, Anushree, welcome, Ananya, to this incredible discussion that we're going to be having today, in this AMA. Before we do all of that, I'd love you to quickly introduce yourselves, and we move to the discussion on Nuutjob from there on.
I think you said one word, completely right. Incredible. I'm sure it's really incredible. That is something that we really do at Nuutjob. So puns here and there. That's what makes the brand something that a lot of people resonate with. But to introduce ourselves, hi, I'm Ananya Maloo.
And I'm Anushree Maloo. We are the co-founders at Nuutjob.
And to tell you a little about what Nuutjob is, so the idea of Nuutjob actually germinated in 2020 during the lockdown, when we saw father use a lot of talcum powder. So we were, really inquisitive at that time, because obviously there wasn't a lot that was going on, obviously.
Sure.
So we got a little inquisitive to know why are our fathers using so much talcum powder, and why is there so much mess in the bath? So that got us, thinking and also talking about what is the current status of male intimate hygiene here in India. Why is it something that is so unaddressed? Anushree and I come from a very privileged family mindset, where we've had our fathers gone and got us sanitary napkins, and lucky for us, that is why we could have that conversation with them, or discussion or dissent, also a debate of sorts, where we could understand what male intimate hygiene is. And it took balls for them also to come and talk to their daughters about male intimate hygiene. So quite thankful for that, which is how we got to know about what is amiss in the Indian industry, which is doing really well internationally. And we figured, why isn't something like this here in India? So that is how the idea of Nuutjob really happened. And rest, as you know, is history.
I think you're in the process of making history, right? So I think the journey's just started, right? And I think, like I said, right, I mean, this has been an absolutely unaddressed sort of an area, right? This is not something which has been, there's been no serious attempt or effort, right, to communicate around, just the behavioral tendency which is around, scratching your balls. Sorry about that, right? But
So yeah.
Guys, I want to start this conversation with understanding I understand where you're coming from, right? So this was more observation, right? Now, typically when you look at a founder, you look at a founder's journey, I think there is a certain sense of closeness that you have to have with the cause, right? And I think it's ideal if you've faced it yourself, right? Here, you've chosen a path where you're not the first customer, you're not an ideal customer, right? It's just so difficult for you to understand the complexity around, some of these aspects, right? And the other thing is, there is no reference point whatsoever, right? So there's no prior information, there is no research, primary or secondary, which is available, right? I'd love to understand, what are the nuances that went into, whatever the research that you did, right? In the making of Nuutjob. I'd love to understand that, from you.
So I think purely to understand, a lot of people, when we did start something like this, that कि आपके पास तो part भी नहीं है, आप कैसे company start करें? Something that Anushree and I really boldly, have said, that it took 2 vaginas to change the ball game.
Sure.
We saw that there was a need for something like this.
Right.
And how did we see is, we've seen at least 10 men, minimum 10 men scratch their balls in public, and nobody's really batted an eye about it.
Right.
Whereas if my bra strap is showing in public, there are so many people who are like, I don't
Sure.
adjust. There was a need about it. about the research part of it, there was a lot of understanding on what brands were really doing. When we figured that, what started for us to do that research was when we asked our fathers a very simple question: talcum powder ka koi alternate nahi hai kya? Is there nothing that you can use over there? That is what gave kindled our inquisitiveness about why is there nothing in the market that caters to something as messy as talcum powder. So our main motive about starting Nuutjob was to find a better alternative to things that are already existing in the market. So that is how we figured what is it that we need to do. Research was also because there, when we saw that there were no brands actively catering to male intimate hygiene, there is an IJGAR, there's a BTEX that caters to very medicinal side of intimate hygiene. Like if you've got a ringworm, if you've got certain infections or rashes, that is where IJGAR or something like this comes into play. But there was nothing in the middle catering to hygiene, a regular hygiene routine, which could maybe bring about a certain shift in what people were already using. They are already using talcum powder, and it's a very hot country. They're using deodorants, but there were no effective solutions and efficient solutions, if I may say so. And that is what led for Anushree and I to figure out what is it that we can do. When we did our little research, we figured that there are brands internationally that are premised around manscaping and male intimate hygiene grooming. And that is what, struck a chord with us, and why we felt, this is something that could do exceptionally well here in India. Initially, when we did ask our friends, they were a little hesitant to talk about, intimate hygiene, especially two girls coming and asking, "Ki tu kya karta hai yaar intimate hygiene ke liye?" So, obviously, we asked our fathers, but that's different because we share a very different rapport with them. But what we figured is that males are very shy. There's a certain shame and embarrassment that's interlinked to talking about intimate hygiene. That is something that we figured is something that we need to really eliminate. This is something that we also wanted to do through Nuutjob. When we talk about vision and mission, that is something that we really hope to cater to. But research-wise, we figured what are the products that are doing well internationally, and what are the products that we see as something that we could bring a replacement to, something that we could induce nicely into a routine. We don't want to get extremely like aap ye use karo, ye tech cheeze use karo. Nobody is currently using it. We've got solutions as something that we'd want to supplant instead of a certain existing product that is there in the market but is not very efficient for the current consumers. So that is something that we based our research on. Also, what happened after we did launch a few products is a lot of people came and told us what they really need. We figured that there's a huge basket of products that there can be for male intimate hygiene. A lot of what our new products that we've launched are based on what people have asked us to launch. Again, because Anushree and I don't face that issue. What we will base things on is what people come and tell us कि यार आप ये क्यों नहीं करते, आप जो कर रहे हो that is amazing, but आप ये भी क्यों नहीं करते. So that gets our that churns our thought process, and that is how we've built our product. But also on what the market really wants, and we're really thankful for people who've come out and spoken to us about something like this. There are also people who it takes guts for them also to come and ask such questions to women. And touch wood, I have not seen anybody shaming us in what we do till now, and they've come outrightly and asked us कि यानी मेरे को अगर ये problem है, even sexual questions if they may ask. These are very personal questions, but they've come and asked us कि why could you maybe guide us through this. So they've again, initially it was a little weird for Anushree and I to obviously, awkward, absolutely. But we figured कि this is our job. Why should we feel awkward about it? So really happy to do it. But I think what we based our research on, what your question was, to what problems we wanted to get a solution to bring efficient solution, to bring a certain shift in modern products that are efficient and made for the modern.
Interesting. I want to understand one very, very fundamental question, right? And I think this becomes a very important question to, at a foundation level, right? Now, when you talk of women hygiene, right? Women hygiene is something which is possibly the most advocated for, right? And when you talk about be it cleaning products, be it about the variety, right? Be it about for example, there are products that are sort of helping manage pH, right? For example, right? So there's just an array of products which is available, right? And these are products which are very, very clearly defined, advocated most, right? Some of the largest of brands have not come out with anything whatsoever when it came to male hygiene, right? Men's hygiene of sorts, right? Why is this gap been there, right? Is this because of lack of awareness? Where is the gap in the process? I mean, I understand that people are not necessarily talking about it, or there are lacunas there and so on and so forth, right? But I want to understand, is this like a cultural piece which never got discussed, never got carried on, passed on? Where has been the gap?
Yeah, you know what? Intimate hygiene is not something that's old or something that's not done here in India. People use age-old, products such as talcum powder or soap or deodorants. But like I mentioned, the efficiency was not there. Yes, a lot of what is talked about is pH balance for women, because obviously menstruation is a very important part that comes into play, especially UTIs and yeast infections. Similar is for men, which is not talked about, fungal infection and a lot of different things. Balantis is also something that is not spoken about. A lot of people don't know about it. But people do use, intimate hygiene with age-old things that were already prevalent. Like I said, Nuutjob is something that helps, is nothing new. These are just efficient solutions to what you've already been using, but are made for the modern man on the go. What I'd also like to say is that basically male intimate hygiene is associated to shame. If you're talking about women, when what we figured is to sell a product to women is very easy, because it's very easy to point out what they're wrong, where they're wrong, how they're flawed. As for men, it's not the same thing. If you look at advertising also, the kind of advertising that goes on and really works is macho-ness. How to bring about that macho-ness is something that intimate hygiene will not obviously initially do, right? Because it's pointing out that you're flawed in a certain way, that you've got a certain problem, that you need to bring a solution. To educate women is very easy, because they believe that they're flawed and they'll buy products to really cater to. Men, on the other hand, are very difficult to educate, and that is why we feel that we really very passionately feel that this is what we'd want to talk about. And if you've seen Shark Tank, Aman also said that a lot of it will depend on education, and once that education comes into place, you will see that a sector like this will really scale. So I feel what lacks here is education, because it's attached to embarrassment and shame. But what we want to do is eliminate it through attaching humor to it. Something that Durex is very nicely doing when they're talking about condoms. Something how they're reaching to the audience is finally lacing their education with entertainment and humor. So that is exactly how we through Nuutjob want to break the barrier through. So that is exactly what we plan to do. And
Interesting. Ananya, one thing that I want to understand, right? And possibly Anushree can kind of pitch it, right? Now, when we typically looking at any business, right? What we try to do is address, we talk of TAM, right? In this case, you're literally a category leader in many ways, right? And a lot of what possibly is happening right now is essentially all unorganized, right? Variety of things are being used, but that's, like I said, right, early on in the conversation, that's not documented, right? If you were to talk of TAM, right, what is the kind of TAM that we talk about? And the other thing that I want to understand is, like, for example, in women as a category, there are very serious issues, right? We have numbers of incidents, if not absolute, at least ranges of incidents of a variety of issues that are there, right? Now, you've touched upon some very important points, right? I'd love to understand, if you could give us a sense and range of, for example, say incidents, right? So when you talk about, say, health-related exigencies that happen because of hygiene issues, what could be the TAM that we're talking about, right? And possibly you could divide it in demographic as well, right? Because my sense is for youngsters, right, I think it's going to be more on the fun and game side of things, right? More experimental in nature, right? But as you grow older, a variety of other problems start to sort of happen. UTI, you kind of highlighted, right? Hygiene becomes just so much more important. So if you were to put out incidents to give us qualified TAM, right, and how it's maturing, I think that'll be interesting.
This segment is, we thought that, 18 years से हम अगर educate करना start करेंगे, so there will be the time when they reach at age of 23 or 25, they will start using it. So this product we want to target from 18 years also, and this we are doing through memes, and we using current affairs and everything. So that is how we are targeting. So after we have seen that people from our most of the customers are from the age of 30 to 35 or up to 40. So it's not that after certain age you don't have to use a
it's perpetual.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, but this is how we have started targeting that. We want to educate the early age, unki puberty start hote wahin se we want to educate them that you don't have to wait fungal infection ho jata ya kuch bhi jo abhi they are coming up that
Right.
What are the alternatives, and I'm sweating a lot or whatever, because ye age ke log bhi gym ja rahe hain, they are into sports and everything, so they come up with the solution problems that we sweat a lot. So what is the solution? That is we want to educate that even if you are into sports or you are into gym and everything, so this is the right product for you, so it keeps you hygienic.
Interesting. Okay, guys, we're going to move on to talk about SKUs, right? Now, you have some amazing SKUs, right? Some on the serious side of it, some on, like I said, right, on the lighter side of it, right? Why don't you talk a little about them, right? And I'd love to understand, when you talk about the SKUs, like I said, right, there's a diversity in the SKUs that you have, and possibly that's largely come out of the feedback that you've had in the process. I'd love to understand, how have you divided these SKUs, right? Which is the category that you're going after? I think if you could break it down, and when I say, highlight the target audience, what I essentially mean is, I'm not saying that this qualifies for this and not the others, but an apt age which is going to possibly adopt it the fastest is what I want to understand.
When we went on Shark Tank, we went with 3 products only. That is Nut Wash was an all-in-one cleanser. Then we went with Nut Guard, it's a liquid powder, and Nut Fresh, which is an intimate deo spray. So these were our hero products till now. But then after a certain time, people will coming, like we got messages from females that can we use liquid powder? Why don't you come up with a product for us? So that is how we came up with a product for female, that is a tit-fit guard, where they can use this product for their armpits, on their under boob, sweating, below thighs and everything.
Right.
And people were like, we want a travel pack. Why don't you come up with something, which is, easy to carry when we travel? So there we came up with a solid perfume, which is a shoe polish kind of a thing. So it becomes again. Then we had people coming and telling us that we travel a lot, and we might not have availability of water, and we want to just sleep. Or somebody was coming that office se mere ko direct bahar jana, and I can't shower somewhere or something like that. So that is how we came up with dry wash and something. So these are whatever products people have.
These are all the incidents,
and they have shared the idea. Why don't you come up with a product like this?
Right.
We were more focused towards male intimate hygiene and everything, but that people wanted us to cover everything, and females were requesting that why don't you come up with a product for us, and can we use there were females who order for their partners, but they texted us that can we use these products, intimate deo spray, liquid powder जो females के लिए नहीं है, we wash एक intimate wash हो गया.
Right.
They wanted a product like this also for them.
Interesting. Guys, I can just think of, the possibilities of communication around this, right? And the kind of fun that you can have while you're doing that in the process, right? And the good part is that a lot of traditional brands are not doing a lot of that, right? Which essentially means a D2C brand, in many ways a category leader, I think can build a very different kind of a rapport and a relationship with the customers. And I think that communication strategy essentially helps you acquire and also becomes a moat in the process, right? And I think it just opens up a two-way communication, which essentially is something that I see you being very agile as far as that environment is concerned, right, in that sense. Okay, guys, I want to talk a little about the ingredient side of it, right? And the components of it, right? Now, I think one thing that stands out in your pitch document, which I'm sure a lot of other people have also seen, is the use of this is very conscious as a product, right? why don't you tell us a little more about some of the sensitivity with which you're approaching and building these products.
So a manufacturer, we've got a manufacturer basically holds his expertise in intimate hygiene products. So we're two girls who are not from the pharma background. We had so many dreams, हमारा product ऐसा होना चाहिए, हमारा product ऐसा होना चाहिए. But when we went to our manufacturer, he said, this is not going to work for you. These are the ingredients. You can't put all the good things and everything naughty and nice and will make something that's really nice. But he has such good knowledge into making intimate hygiene products. He's doing that with a lot of brands, even international brands, to be honest.
Sure.
And he knows what are the kind of ingredients that are going to really work for the Indian skin type. And see, again, this is something that's going to your intimate areas. We made sure that it really works on sensitive skin. So portions of ingredients were right. We didn't want to be all fancy. I want this and I want that. I wanted ingredients that would work, but ingredients that are not just efficient in in the now, but also efficient for them, so that they're not really manipulating any skin reactions later. So obviously we made sure that there were clean ingredients that were going in, and obviously there's a very good R&D unit that our manufacturer has. Anything that comes to you has gone through a lot of people, and I would say my father's gone through it before you guys. So don't worry, I would not put my father through a lot of different things. But like we mentioned, our fathers are a guinea pigs. They try the products before it goes out to anybody else, and there is a lot of back and forth that comes in. We can't just think of a product and that's made the next day just so that our manufacturer wants to make money, because he wants to see that this category brings about a change. So the ingredients that go in are different. Like Anushree mentioned, we did launch Titbit Guard, but the ingredients are different because they're catering to a very different problem. They're catering to a different body type. Okay.
Sure.
So body type and a body part also. So it's really important that the ingredients, when we put in, go through a very good R&D from the manufacturer side, and also goes through trials by us. So that is something that we make sure of whatever's going into the products. Our manufacturer has all the certificates. It's halal free. It has FDC, FSI, everything in place. Again, it's an intimate area. We can't put anything and everything that goes in there. So all the ingredients are obviously taken care of. There's a lot of research that goes in, and I'm really proud to say that we've got very passionate and very qualified females who are leading our R&D team at our manufacturer's place. Because that they're also very passionate about two women running a brand like this, right? They want to bring about a difference, and that is something that I and Anushree take really pride in to do. Something that women put their 100% in, because there's a lot that you as women need to prove when you do.
Right. Interesting, guys. I want to understand one thing, right? Now you've been talking about skin types. We talk about, India is a massively spread out market, right? And when I say spread out market, that essentially is around a variety of parameters. Here, it's more about the temperature, right? Humidity conditions continue to change. I think barring just got a few cities, I think we are, climatic conditions are a massive challenge, right? Now, when you are out there to sort of when you are doing your research, right, in terms of launching a product, right, and second, when it comes to distribution, right, how calibrated are you enough to understand that, right? Because product A, which is possibly going to do phenomenally well up north, right, might have a slightly difficult run down south, right? I'd love to understand is how are you bringing in that homogeneity, because that is very, very important when you're especially a D2C brand of sorts. I'd love to understand that.
So we've got see, most of our orders are online, but what I'd like to say is that we've got a mix of different products. If you've got extremely dry skin, we've got moisturizing elements in our products, so you can choose accordingly. We've made sure that we've got something for every skin type. Like I mentioned, India is it's a very hot country. It's summers say 75% of the year. And down south, it's really humid, where you get extremely sweaty down there. You need products that are drying in nature. So we've got products that will keep your intimates dry. We've got products that will keep your intimates moisturized. So you choose accordingly. But we've got something for everybody. We made sure that all balls are taken care of. So, sorry,
Interesting.
there will be a lot of jokes here and there, but
Absolutely. I'm in fact loving it, right? I think just the fact, I mean, you need a lot of boldness, right, for building a business like this. There are a bunch of questions that are constantly coming in. I think a lot of people are very inquisitive to understand, how you're doing financially, the financial health of the company and so on and so forth, right? Now I'm ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna come to those questions in just a bit, right? I think it's important to build a context, right, to the conversation. It's important to understand the foundation, right? For an early stage D2C business, this is just a starting point, right? And unless you become and understand the foundation, I think it'll be unjust to talk of numbers, right? I think the story is just started. It's going to go on from here. That said, why don't we talk of numbers, right? Which are the regions which are best performing for you? Where are you getting the orders from? And what age brackets? I know you are essentially on other selling environments, but what is your sense, right? Where are the numbers? Which is the category which is performing, and demographic which is performing best for you? Love to understand.
When we started before Shark Tank, our sales were nearly for 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs. But after Shark Tank, we have seen the growth that, monthly we are doing nearly 20 to 25 lakhs sales. And our average revenue run rate comes to 3 CR. And demographic, I think we are serving in metro cities as well as states like Bihar, Jharkhand, Uttarakhand. I think we have shipped to Srinagar also.
Right.
I think there is no specific demographic that we are serving. We are serving pan India through different platforms, through our websites, through Amazon, through Flipkart. So I think every every state needs a product like this. It's not like that Kashmir mein thandi hai, so Kashmir mein people are use something like this. They are ordering there also.
Right.
We got people from Pakistan also that can you ship your products to from Bangladesh, from Nepal, so surrounding countries also. So I think it's a huge market for us, and so these are the
talk about cities that are doing really well. We've got Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, the tier 1 cities that are doing really well. I'll be very honest, we did get, we had except tier 1, it's doing really well in cities that are very small. We had somebody from Darbhanga who got so many Darbhanga and Bihar, who came and asked us that he's getting a lot of queries and he's ordered about 70 to 80 as a distributor or whatever, but has ordered 70 to 80 pieces of each product, and that's the kind of that's the kind of reception that we're seeing in Akola, Nagpur, Pune. These are people where they've come to us and told us, listen, we're getting a lot of queries. These are people who own shops, medical shops, pharmacy shops, and they've come and told us, listen, we're getting a lot of queries about your product and we really want it. A few days ago also there were few salons here in Ahmedabad who'd come to us like, listen, there are a lot of people who are asking for your product. Can we take a few? So it's really nice to see that the reach has penetrated to not just tier 1 but tier 2, tier 3 cities also, and it's doing really well. See, again, it's very need based, right? So that is what we're seeing. And demographic wise, as we've mentioned, we've catered it to 18 to 35-year-olds. But what we're seeing on the website is that we're seeing a ratio of 70 to 30, 70 being men and 30 being women. Basically, between the age gap of 23 years old to 36-year-olds. Who are buying a lot of them. Yes, there have been people who are a little older who are also buying, but I see the majority in this chunk. And like the cities that I mentioned, these are the cities that we've seen a lot of traction.
So I think there's an excitement which is kind of building up in the market, right? And it's understood that it's a tier 1 product, right? Or a tier 1 plus product in many ways. But I think it's good to see that tier 2 is kind of tier 2, tier 3 is, you're getting resonance from those markets, right? And my sense is, I think especially what has happened after 2020, right? I think we've become information first in many ways. I think your ability to communicate is going to just create so much more resonance, right? Guys, there are 2 things that I want to understand, right? One is what's the split between Amazon, Flipkart, or such ecosystem sales versus website sales, and I'd love to understand, the hero product in the category and what percentage of revenue is coming in from the hero product.
There's a 60%. 60% on the website and 40 from e-commerce website. you want to explain where are we getting? So basically, NutGuard.
So NutGuard is being the hero product, and after that, I would say Nut Fresh, which is an intimate deo spray.
Sure.
So these are products, the other brands are not catering to, and like wash is available with other brands also, but liquid powder is something new for people and they want to try.
And what we see is a lot of people are buying in combos. They want to try these products.
Right.
They want to tell it. That obviously takes our average order value to be a little higher, right? So we've seen on our website, I'll tell you, we're seeing a lot of people buy combos because they want to try these products. And NutGuard is what I'd mentioned. NutGuard and Nut Fresh are Shah Rukh Khan and Amitabh Bachchan, like we mentioned in Chapter.
Interesting.
And NutGuard, which is our liquid powder, is doing extremely well. Now what people are also asking us, they come in 200 ml and 100 ml each. Now we're trying to get a smaller pack so that people can take it travel friendly and take it with them. But what we see is these are products that they don't get in the market and really loving. So these are our hero products. And I think because I think combos are something that are being ordered on a maximum level from our website. So these are the two products that are contributing to a lot of the revenue on our website.
Interesting. While of course I would love to continue asking you a little more on this question, but I think we're going to wait for the Q&A. I think there are a bunch of questions that are already sort of posed in that direction, right? But I'd love to understand, what's the repeat that you are seeing currently, on your sales. If you could give us a sense of that.
Around about 10%. Repeat customers. Like since January after Shark Tank, and people before also Shark Tank who have brought in, after seeing us on Shark Tank, they got more trust on the brand and they have reordered and they have given reference. So we got texts that my friend was using this product and he recommended us, and sort like that.
Interesting. What are the plans to sort of improve that, right? I mean, 10% is I mean, given that you just started, right? I think 10% is a good start, right? But what are the plans to improve this, right? My sense is, for I think any reasonable brand, you're at least looking at a 30-35%, right, of the repeat.
We're only in the market since 6 months, and this takes about 45 days. If you use it on a continuous basis, it takes about 45 days. Sure. What we feel is when we did launch these products, it was winters when it was not. We'd launched only 3 products, but which I felt was something that people really needed in summers. And now with the summers coming into play, I feel that a lot of people are buying it again. See, again, we don't get the same kind of data on Amazon and Flipkart. What I'm telling you is what we get off our website. And that is 10%, considering we've only been in business for 6 months till now. And if you consider 45 days, which is about a month and a half, if they use it regularly, that is. So I think for now 10% is what we do have. But as we grow, yes, we'd obviously want to improve that. And that will only happen through reaching out on a lot of creating a lot of content around something like this so that people know what this is all about. Yes, this is through people who know us through Shark Tank or through references, but what we want to do is make it something that people are seeing that is something that we'd also want to do, create a lot of content around what mean intimate hygiene.
Ananya, one thing that I want to understand, right? I mean, do you run the risk of seasonality, right? And we've discussed that. But do you think that's a consistent risk that you have, right? 10% of number or 10% of repeat is not enough. And I completely buy in, right? I mean, you're relatively new to the market, right? But 10% of repeat is not a good reflection of what's, of demonstrating that consistency in consumption, right? Is that a risk that you run? Is seasonality a risk that you run? And you could possibly answer it by, giving us a sense of, what are the future products that you're looking to introduce if this continues to sort of happen.
I feel at the moment, at what stage we are, I think 10% is something that is really good for a very new category like this. The acceptance of people takes a lot of time for people to, really venture into buying intimate hygiene is something that takes a lot of time and a lot of explaining to do. It's not clothes that people, just generally convert to. So yes, for a category like this to have Indians accept this at a very initial stage, I think for me, I consider 10 as a very good percentage, especially considering that we're only 6 months in the business. But obviously, to improve it, we don't run a seasonal risk. Like I said, in winters when you do have dry skin, we've got products that keep you moisturized. And obviously, going forward, we have a lot of research and development that we'll want to put into products that come later on.
Interesting.
people know about this product, but they are not, they still need an education that why they have to use something like this.
Right.
So this thing takes time, to understand, to make people understand the product.
Interesting, guys. Okay, so another critical question, and I think I'm going to take this conversation towards the end of at least this dialogue, right? And I'll open it up for a lot of people who have a lot of questions, right? Now, one of the things that is very, very consistent, right, across the communication has been the advantage and the really the kind of propulsion that you've gotten from being on Shark Tank, right? A lot of people saw you, the brand became visible, it was available, people went on and bought it, right? And that's a great head start of sorts, right? Now, when you're talking about a market like India, right? As a lot of other traditional brands or other such brands, in the market, right? Some of them you highlighted in your presentation, right? As they see certain movement, right, and they see certain abnormality in the growth, right, will open up competition, right? Will make them think about this category very, very seriously, right? Now, traditional brands have a certain credibility established, right? The other advantage that they have is a massive distribution ecosystem, right? And of course, the marketing muscle, right? They already understand a lot about marketing. They're transitioning, yes, but that's a small sort of a lead time that you would have, right? Other players who qualify the startup ecosystem are more well capitalized of sorts, right? How are you looking to address all of that? I mean, Shark Tank Season 2 is going to be here very soon, right? There are going to be other brands that are going to have similar mileage, like yourself, right? Not, let's say, in the same space, but are going to have a mileage, right? People's focus is going to shift. How do you ensure that the consistency in growth continues to be there, right? A lot of people don't understand that. What's your strategy on that front? I mean, you continue to highlight that education is important, right? I'd love to understand some finer nuances of some of that, right? Which differentiates you vis-a-vis your competition.
I think the name in itself is something that gives you a little more understanding on what it is. Also, see if there's competition that's coming in, they're only widening the market for us. They're working on education. They'll reduce the CAC going forward. If you look at it that way. Yes, right. There will be brands that come into this space. It's the same with Beardo. But the thing is, they created a market. And I think what we have is a lot of customer data and a lot of customer feedback into what is it that they want. That is exactly what we've built our, consumer base and also a product base around. So what we have is, there was no blueprint for us as an industry. These are the things that work. These are the things that didn't work. There's a lot that goes into trial and error. But what we feel is that we've got a great customer base who comes and talks to us, who think that this is a place where they really want to talk about something like this. We want a subscription base, a certain ballsy club, like a safe space where people come and talk about this, which also gives us a great market insight on what do they want. Also, if you'd seen Shark Tank, there's so much that the name itself, Ashree said that this is. The name itself is something that gives away what you really do. A very vague name is something that you will not come to your mind. This is something that you make a connect really fast. If you're searching for beard products, Beardo is the right place to go. If you're thinking intimate hygiene, Nuutjob is the right place to go, because the word, I think it's the word and the content that really makes sense for us. Also, what gives us a great head start is the kind of customer base that we've gotten 20,000 customers, great knowledge from them that we can, garner, a lot of trust that they put into a brand like this. So I think that is something that will chart us apart from, competition that comes into place. But again, there's nothing that will challenge us more if not healthy competition. If people do come and we'll get our, minds thinking. And I think that's really important. You can't have mundaneness set in if you're doing something like this. We're more than happy for people to talk about male intimate hygiene, and if another brand is really helping us work on the education bit, why not?
Right, interesting, guys. Very quickly, love to understand tier 2, tier 3 markets. These are different spaces altogether, right? What happens in urban markets, is very different from what happens in tier 2, tier 3 markets. Now, the good point is that we've become a content first and a communication first economy, right? In many ways, knowledge first, I can call it that, right? Where we're searching for stuff, we're looking for stuff. In many ways, right? That becomes a good reference point of sorts, right? Which essentially aligns to your strategy of being education and content first in many ways, right? So there's this awareness that you create, but these are markets that still require a touch and feel of sorts, right? For any brand to grow larger, and I think this is something which is classically said in the D2C environment, that any brand to crack that 100 crore mark, right, will have to have physical presence, and tier 2, tier 3 will have to be cracked. right? What are your thought processes around that? Is that even a priority? And you can choose to answer it that way. I mean, you're much younger in that sense. That is a priority that you could possibly address, once you've raised a couple of rounds, right? But I leave it to you.
I think, like you said, yes, it'll take time for us to go to ease people from tier 2, tier 3. Yes, sure. But if I'm talking about deodorants, what we have is deodorant market right now in India is at a 3,600 crore, if I'm not wrong, and actually growing. But that is doing extremely well in tier 2, tier 3 cities. And when we've got people who are ordering from that place, they're ordering deodorants because they're eased into the idea of using something like this. And when we mention, like I mentioned, earlier, if you've seen the video, people are now reading labels. People really care about what's really going into the packaging or the product of it. So it's really important that people are now not just tier 1 but tier 2 people are also reading labels. कि अच्छा मैंने तो सुना था ये influencer ने बोला था कि इसमें ये नहीं है, ये नहीं है. So it's really important with the kind of content that we create, with the kind of people that we set out to put the message out there. They will take the product to be something that you'd want. Not make it a very aspirational one, because then that makes you reach to a very niche audience, but to make it something that is of daily use. Like I mentioned, people are using these are replacements for talcum powders and deodorants, which people are really using, and they're doing really well in tier 2 and tier 3 cities also now. So now that they know that this is something that's different, I'm sure they'd want to try. So that's how I think we could ease into tier 2, tier 3, but I think it'll take some time to educate them about just intimate hygiene as a whole set of things. But to be honest, they do use talcum powder, they use soap. To ease them into the idea of intimate hygiene will take a little content creation, is what I believe.
Okay, my last question in this conversation before we talk about financial numbers, right? Now, one of the things in a D2C environment that we're kind of seeing, right, is that tax are going through the roof, right? Cost of acquisition is becoming expensive in the entire zone, right? And that's largely because there are some very well-funded startups, right? Who made it expensive. The other thing is that it's a very fleeting audience, right? So the preferences are changing very fast. Fads are flying very, very fast, right? That is making the entire equation very, very dynamic, right? I'd love to understand, how are you looking at that from an acquisition sort of standpoint, and within the continuation, right? If you could give us a sense of this round that you're raising. What is the money going to be? What is the money that you're raising? What is the kind of money that you're going to be spending on, say, ABCD activities in the order of priority? That'll be very helpful.
To be honest, we're Marwadi. We're very frugal with money, so don't worry. We're going to use it very well. We're raising 50 lakhs at the moment for Tyke. More than happy to take whatever comes after. If we reach 100% mark, why not? We want to work towards creating content. Like I mentioned, creating content is something that we really want to do as founders. Yes, there will be competition. Yes, there will be more people who pump in more money into something like this. There will be shift in buying patterns by people. But once we do, again, we're raising funds from a very early stage. The entire point about raising this through Tyke was to create a community who believes in Nuutjob. The people over here who've invested in Nuutjob are ambassadors who will take it ahead to more people. And I think that's something that's really important, because when they put in money, they invest in trust. When they go out and then, if you take it as your own, you want to go and tell more people ki tum buy karo, because then they know that there'll be more money that they'll get through people that they're recommending. So why not? I think this comes at a very good time, because the people who are investing in us are basically our brand ambassadors who are going to go out and really help us get more people and get more build more confidence into what the brand is all about. So really not afraid of more people pumping in more money. But if I've got a set of, say, 500 people who've invested in my company, I've got 500 people who are speaking really good about my product. It's going to be like very virusy in a sense. If I go tell one person, they'll at least go tell two people will go tell other people. I'd maybe think of it like that. But I think that's the entire point of raising.
Okay, awesome. Guys, listen, I think there's a lot of love which is pouring in, right, in form of questions, and I'm gonna cease to ask any more questions, right? I'd rather let people take it over, so over to Team Tyke to let people ask the questions.
So hi, Nuutjob team. So I have a couple of questions. So I myself am a user of some intimate wash products like from your competitors, obviously. So the reason, that there was a discussion about why people are not getting back to and why people are refraining from using the products again, right? So one personal experience I would like to share is initially when I started using such intimate wash products. So the brand which I got from Amazon was Skin Element. So it was a really good product from them. But later on, when I wanted to purchase it again, so when I went on Amazon, I was not able to find it, the same product. And instead of that, I got another product from another company. It was the same composition and everything. So it was from Man Matters. But the issue was although it had same compositions and same kind of what you call the ingredients like tea tree oil and what sort of all these things are there. So, but the brand changed and the product effectivity, my skin is little sensitive. So with that same thing, with the same composition, I was getting a irritative feeling and rashes and all. So I immediately stopped using those things. So after getting to know Nuutjob, it was really, it's kind of really difficult to again trust these kind of products, because it's really around your sensitive. So how are you tackling to the inventory and the process where people can order quickly, and the price also, where we see 100 ml or 150 ml is about 300-350 rupees kind of thing.
Interesting.
So yeah.
Right. So, if you've ordered from other brands, again, the percentages of what they put in is different. Again, different brands create different things. They've got different manufacturers who've got different ways of processing it. I wouldn't want to say that do this, do that, and everything. But when it comes to intimate hygiene, reading what is there behind is really important. And also, you need to know what are the things that work for you and do not work for you. Always take a patch test before you use it in your intimate area. But like you mentioned, there are other brands that are what charts us apart from other people in the same market is that we offer a 200 ml pack for 499 rupees. We're giving you double of what they're giving. And what this is, it's not just an intimate wash. You can use it as a shampoo, you can use it as a body wash, and you don't need to buy 10 other things, because all of this comes into just in one bottle for just 499 rupees. You don't need to buy a shampoo, you don't need to buy a conditioner, you don't need to buy a body wash. All of this will amount to about, say, 1,000 rupees, which we give you in 499 rupees. So this is a multi-use product that you use. Again, this has you can decide on what ingredients work for you and what ingredients don't work for you. That is something that happens through trial and error. Even for makeup, right? If I'm buying a lipstick, the formulation might be similar, but the ingredients and the percentage of things that are put inside are a little different. So it might work with my skin and it might not work with Anushree's skin for a bit. But that is the same thing with skincare and cosmetics. There are things that work out for some people and some.
So can I pitch in here? So that's what my actual pain point was. In this we directly get a 150 ml or 100 ml. So we don't have a kind of a small tester or something where we can test the product first and then use it, because this kind of things are risky and we cannot return the product as well.
Right.
So that's a good feedback, right? That's a good feedback. And I will let you guys connect at a later point. I think there are many other people who have questions, right? But I think this is a good point. Ananya, I think one thing that you would want to highlight, right? And I think he had a very important point of sorts, right? How do you ensure consistency, right? And you can talk about your manufacturing arrangements right now, and how it's centralized, possibly, right? And how do you continue to do sampling of of the inventory that you kind of build in the process? Can you tell us a little more about that?
Right. So we do work on what customer feedbacks that we get. Initially there were certain feedbacks that we got on viscosity. See, again, you don't launch the perfect product initially. Right. You obviously better formulations going forward. Even if you look at iPhone, that is something that you have daily update versions of. So I don't want to compare it to that, but I'm just saying that based on what people tell us, we work on formulations around that. Right. But we never make products that are not good for your skin or something that are very harsh. We make sure that this is something that even kids can use. I would really suggest if you could use us. If it does, I don't want to say that don't want to sound very outrightly markety, but I would like to tell you if you could maybe try our products, because this is something that works as a body wash and a hair wash also. Again, when you're using an intimate wash, it's very important to analyze your skin. You need to see if you've got any open wounds, if you've got signs of irritation on your skin. Always make sure before using anything on your skin, because that is very sensitive, and because the skin down there is very thin. So it's very important that you see a product by doing a little patch test. That's something that every brand, if they're selling something, even if you buy serums from companies, it's really important to do a patch test before.
Okay, interesting. We're going to move to the next question. We have to cover quite a bit of ground, right? Ladies, I want you to answer very specifically. Can we have the next question, please?
May I know what is the valuation at which the current round is being raised?
This is the valuation that we have got ourselves, that we are sitting on a 10 CR valuation.
Mota, but we're raising 50 lakhs at the moment. These are through CSOPs. There's no valuation that we're letting. And I'm sure you could ask Team Tyke about what CSOPs are exactly about, but we're raising 50 lakhs through the fundraiser Tyke.
It is being raised at a discount of 20%, which means that we'll be getting in at a valuation of 20% lesser than the next round of funding, essentially.
Right.
Interesting. Next question, please. I have a lot of financial questions. I think everybody's interested in your financial health, right? In terms of how is this performing, right? Because there are no visible consumer side numbers, right? There are larger numbers, of course. There's larger market size which is available. I think everybody wants to see how's this moving, right? You want to talk a little more about that till we have the next question?
Yeah, I just wanted to know who owns the Global Cosmetics? Is totally a third-party manufacturer, or you have any stake in it? Yeah, okay.
We've got an NDA in case with them, so the formulation.
Yeah, okay. That is important. One more thing I want to ask.
Sure.
I don't want to go in for a CSOP. I may go for a good investment. So is it possible to join as a strategic investor and be a part of your organization?
You could mail us and we could figure out what we could do.
Okay,
that's a great offer. I hope you're buying the products though, right? I mean, I think that's important in the process. I think that tells us a little about the love that you have for the product. So I think that's a point taken. I think they've answered.
Thank you very much.
Right? We'll want to move to the next question.
Yeah, thank you.
मैडम ये पूछा हूँ कि आपका ऑनलाइन तो है नेटवर्क, ऑफलाइन भी आपके डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर हैं इधर नॉर्थ इंडिया में?
अभी तो थोड़े से है, पर अभी हम लोग सिर्फ ऑनलाइन पे फोकस कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि ऑफलाइन हम 2-3 साल के बाद जाएंगे, क्योंकि ऑफलाइन में अगर हम जाएंगे तो काफी पैसा उसमें चला जाता है. अभी हमें ऑफलाइन में नहीं जाना है, केवल ऑनलाइन कर रहे हैं. हम Amazon पे है, हमारी वेबसाइट पे है, फ्लिपकार्ट पे है. हम जल्दी ही दूसरे मार्केट प्लेसेस पे भी आ रहे हैं, जैसे स्विगी, जियो मार्ट एंड नाइका. तो उसके बारे में अगर आप हमारी सोशल मीडिया को फॉलो करते हैं, आपको वहाँ पे अपडेट्स मिल जाएगी. हाल ही में अभी हम लोग सिर्फ Amazon, फ्लिपकार्ट और हमारी वेबसाइट पे.
So hi, I have one question. So, you guys focusing on growth or profitability? And with profitability, do you have any plan for that?
We're profitable at the moment. We've got 80% gross margins because we've not spent anything on advertisements. But yes, growth while also trying to stay profitable is very important as a company. Like we've mentioned that we're very Marwadi, we're very money focused. We'd want to make money not just for us but for you also as an investor. So it's really important that we have that in focus. Even if we do put in money for advertisement, which we are going to do now, we'll make sure that we'll have net margins of at least 50%, so that you guys, whoever is investing, is profitable.
Thanks. I have another question.
Sure.
First is any plans for reducing overall price of the product, and another thing is
Yes, we're launching smaller packs right now. We're going to make everything available at $399. जैसे जैसे ऑर्डर साइज बढ़ता रहेगा, वैसे वैसे प्राइस क्योंकि मैन्युफैक्चरर भी कम करता रहेगा, because we're ordering in more quantities. Going forward, yes, the prices will come down based on the kind of orders that we get, Siddesh. And हम लोग छोटे पैक्स भी लेके आ रहे हैं, because we've got a lot of people जो बोल रहे थे कि उनको ट्राई करना है ये प्रोडक्ट. So we're getting products in smaller quantities.
Okay. And last question, how much you will spend on R&D, means percentage or any view on that?
On R&D, or did you say R&D?
Yeah,
Yes.
research and development.
Research and development, new product development.
फंडिंग हम 10% जितना स्पेंड करेंगे आगे
About 10. Because we've got a lot of products that we want to come out. We're also launching underwear, starting anti-sweat underwear in about 2 weeks. Anushree, in about 2 weeks is when we're launching. There's so many products that we've planned for you guys. So yes, R&D is a very important factor for us. So we're going to put about 10% in it with the kind of money that we're raising. Right?
Hi, Ananya and Arushi. I just wanted to know about how the Shark Tank money was used and why aren't Shark giving you more money? Why aren't you getting money from the Sharks instead of getting it from Tank? Right.
We didn't take the money from Shark Tank.
We didn't take it because there were certain things that we didn't agree in the clauses that came after they shared a certain agreement with us, and that is why we refused money. And this is going to be our first fundraise going forward.
Alright, and I also wanted to know about the future products. Are you also going into something like sexual hygiene products?
See, this is what we really like when our customers really tell us what they want us to get into. Absolutely, we're working on a lot of different things going forward. Our main attention is going to be around manscaping related grooming and hygiene products. But yes, going forward, we'd want to have an different set of a different area of products also catering to sexual wellness and lifestyle going forward, because this will maybe stagnate in the future. We'd also want a lot of a bundle of products that cater to just male wellness in general. So yes, we could definitely look into venturing.
Can you just quickly tell me about what are the products you have in the pipeline right now? What are you
Like I mentioned,
apart from the
it's
internet?
that I can tell you about right now. Everything else is something that I'm not allowed to disclose. I'm so sorry. But this is something that we just
you
launched.
have something.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
So I have one quick question for you guys. Any plans? So of course, I mean, in terms of D2C, you are going strong. But any plans for the international expansion for this kind of products? Any demand that you are seeing in the international markets for this kind of products?
Great demand, especially there are people from Pakistan who continuously write to us that we want a product. Currently, we're in countries such as Oman. We are also available on Dubai, Amazon, and Noon, which will be available in about 15 days from now. We're going to be on a lot of marketplaces for Nepal, Indonesia, and Saudi Arabia is also something that Saudi Arabia, Amazon is something that we're also going to be on. These are the places that we're at, have an international presence currently. Obviously expanding as we grow, but this is what we have at the moment. Great response internationally also. So yeah.
I think what would be nice is if you could give a split in terms of what's the sales that is coming from India market, what's coming from international market. My sense is
we've just begun, so I wouldn't be able to give you numbers, but we've just sent our products internationally and on Amazon. So the international market is just something that we've stepped into. So numbers is something I won't be able to give.
Another quarter, you'll have more a clearer visibility in terms of how it's kind of playing out, right? But I think my sense is these are markets which are responding well to the content that you're making, right? The demand is kind of generic demand is kind of coming up, which is very interesting.
Hi guys, Abhishek this side. So basically, I was actually going through your reviews on Amazon, and especially you could see there were a lot of complaints on the packaging side, right? But good reviews on the product side. So are you guys working on the packaging side of the product? Because even for your international expansion, that would be something.
Yeah, absolutely. So what was the problem was that because of the viscosity, we had it in a pump bottle before, and that led to the product not coming out nicely. Now we've switched to a squeezy bottle, which the people are really liking. Yes, moving on, we'd obviously like to better our product packaging of sorts, but we've tried to make everything very travel friendly and everything that is easily portable and basically portable of sorts. So we're working on packaging in that area. We take our reviews very seriously and we work on them. So we've changed the packaging for things that were really not working and changed them to efficient packaging at the moment. So it's been shifted to a squeezy bottle now.
I think it'll be nice if you pick up one and I think give a feedback. I think that's gonna be helpful.
One last question. In terms of the similar kind of products, so have you seen any kind of competition or any kind of presence of this kind of products in the international markets, like from the Europe or US?
Yes, they are available internationally, but again, the formulation is very different. Like we mentioned, formulations for the Indian skin are very different. Anushree and I based our research on things that were available internationally to start Nuutjob. You won't find products like this here in India. You might find them internationally. But again, the formulation is different. The product offerings are very different. So yes, there is there's a really good market international that's doing well internationally, and which is why we wanted to bring something like that to India.
How is it different from these brands like Man Company or Beardo or any of these men grooming brands which are already available in the market? So So
they just have one product that caters to intimate hygiene, which is a wash, which is very vanilla in terms of catering to male intimate hygiene. We've got a series of products, like there's a liquid powder that keeps you completely dry. There's an intimate deo spray. There's a solid perfume. There's a dry wash. So if you're traveling and if you don't have water around you, we've got very different products that cater to modern needs of people who are working and not just working or playing active sports or anything else. We've got products for each and every person. What they're offering are only intimate washes. If you can see their array of intimate hygiene products, it's just a wash.
Plus they give 100 ml for $3.99, whereas we give 200 ml for $4.99.
Yeah.
So price-wise, also we are different.
Also, it's just an added SKU for them. They're not premised around giving something like this. It's just an added SKU. So their focus is not on intimate hygiene at the moment. It's more on grooming related products. So if you look at Nuutjob, we're only premised around male intimate hygiene.
Okay, but will you be expanding, because you mentioned that you'll be expanding the line as well to grooming and other type of products, then won't it clash with what they are already doing, or will it be the price point where you guys will be like winning the game, or anything else that you have in mind?
It will be a combination of both. It'll be formulation and what's really needed, and what is something I wouldn't want to copy the kind of products that they have, because then that's just an added SKU, to be honest. But I'd want to get more efficient solutions. Why we started Nuutjob was to find efficient solutions to products that are already there in the market. We'd want to get things that are not discovered here in India, and that is why we'd want to get them. So those are what our products are. Future products are going to be based around. Pricing, yes, we'll work on pricing and reducing pricing basis on the kind of orders that we garner after this, and we'll obviously working on smaller packs so that people can try the products. So yeah.
Hi everyone. The first question is, what have your total sales so far since the beginning, and your valuation on Shark Tank was 1.25 CR, I guess, and now you are demanding a valuation of 10 CR. I mean, what more that kind of business data you have done that justify this valuation?
It's just a valuation derived by us. It's not a market valuation that we have considered. And talking about the sales, we are doing sales for around about 20-25 lakhs per month since January.
Okay, since January.
Right.
Your most sales are on Amazon or on your own website?
Own website, 60% is the website, and then 40% is different marketplaces like Amazon, Flipkart.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So I wanted to know that if you have already discussed about that you are going to launch more products. So if people or customer like us who have been using such kind of products and they have more ideas and more category of products which they want to share, so how we can discuss about it, and if there are opportunities with you means to join your organization. So are there any opportunities available to join and work?
You can email us your details and we can connect there.
We're definitely looking at expanding, so happy to get more hands on.
I think a lot of fans who wanting to join the company, right? That's good.
The Aussie gang, I'm really happy.
Is that what you want to call it?
Yeah, I don't mind.
Awesome. Okay, so we have a question, right? Lucky asks, what's the repeat buying rate? I think you highlighted that in the conversation. It's at 10%. It's at 10%. And you're continuously looking to improve that, right? Okay, interesting, right? Amarjeet has written a question, and he's like essentially he's talking about B2B, right? He's saying that are you going to be leveraging partnership for better distribution, right? So are you looking at using influencers like doctors and dermatologists to improve adoption of the product, right? Is that part of the strategy, the go-to-market strategy that you have now or in future? What's your thought process on that? I mean, and I think he asks you that, and I think it's just such a relevant question, right? Because you're very, very specific. A lot of your competition, for example, is so spread out across variety of other products. It just becomes difficult for them to engage this particular influencer set, right? Is there a strategy that you have around this?
There's no strategy around it per se, but see, again, these are not prescribed. It does not have a medicinal value. These are more hygiene-related products. Sure, if a doctor would want to prescribe, would want to recommend it to prevent certain things in the future, yes, they can. Again, these don't have any medicinal values of sorts. So I don't think tying up with hospitals is something that we'd maybe look into. But if we've got very catered products that have a certain medicinal value, why not?
Interesting. Somebody's upset with me. Is saying that, is this an AMA for me? Right? No, this is not an AMA for me. This is an AMA for you. I'm just making the questions slightly more, holistic, so that there are more and more points that get covered in the process.
I think a few hands are raised just now. Should we go ahead with that?
I'd also like to know that you are expanding into a wide range of products. So how shall you be focused on the main products which you have started with?
Right. So these are just expansions of male intimate hygiene products. They're going to be around the same basket of things, but we've got something for everybody. Like we mentioned, we've launched products that, there are lots of things that people have come and asked us, ki humko ye hai. Can you maybe launch a product in this category? So they're going to be premised around male intimate hygiene. We're not going to, neglect a certain product. They're all around the same aspect of male intimate hygiene and grooming. So we're not digressing at the moment.
Okay, awesome, right? So, listen, I think we're running short on time on that front. Ladies, it was an absolute pleasure to host you for this absolutely spectacular session. I think what you're doing is just so bold at many levels. I think you are making us think in a very different direction. I think you're changing, the behavioral tendency. You're bringing in that seriousness. I think it's so much more important, right? While you're being funny at the same time, and you're using communication to get to your consumer better, right? I think this the seriousness is something which is just so much more relevant in this entire scheme of things. And I think the good part is that you're very, very laser sharp when you talk about intimate hygiene, right? A lot of your competition, for example, is doing a variety of things. Possibly you will also do that, but I think your name and I think your choice of product gives you that very quick and a sharp ability to position yourselves in the mind of the consumer, right? And I think that's just so much more important. We wish you all the very best. Thank you so much for taking the time and doing this. It was absolutely spectacular. All good things have to come to an end. I have many, many more questions, but I think we're going to reserve some of that for our next conversation, right? And hopefully soon. We wish you all the very best. And we'd advise more and more people to come in and join this revolution of sorts that you're building, right? And making the world ballsy, right? Let me put it that way. Thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you everybody for joining. Thank you.